Hey guys, welcome to the Main Stringer channel. I'm Parikh, and in today's video, we're going to talk about first impressions of the two latest Omega watch releases. The first one is the new Planet Ocean, and the second watch is going to be the Omega Speedmaster with the reverse Panda dial. Now, I've been reading opinions on forums, several websites, and so on, and I've also had the chance to go into an Omega boutique and try out both of these watches. And here is the summary of my thoughts. Let's start with the Omega Planet Ocean. Let's start with the good things about this particular watch. I think they've done a good move by actually reducing the size of the watch from 44 millimeters down to 42. I think that makes this watch a lot more wearable for a lot more people. Also, getting rid of that helium escape valve that is external to the case was a great idea. It, I think, distinguishes the Omega Seamaster 300 from that of the Planet Ocean. Although the Planet Ocean is a deeper dive watch compared to the Seamaster, if they can get rid of it on the Planet Ocean, that means they probably can get rid of it on the Seamaster too in a future iteration. I also do like the dial layout. The dial layout is very clean, minimalist, simple, with a Planet Ocean specific Explorer type dial layout. And they have omitted the date window in this particular iteration. So it definitely makes the dial a lot more balanced and a lot more clean and readable. Now let's talk about the flip side about this watch. There are a few things that struck me as odd. The first thing is the case design itself. Now, the Planet Ocean had a more traditional case design, a rounded case design with the lyre lugs, and it kind of had a somewhat distinct design language that separated it from the Omega Seamaster, and that is also the case in this particular iteration. However, the case feels more faceted with this sharp contrast between highly polished edges and then matte finished edges, and the design inspiration seems more to come from Grand Seiko than something unique about the Planet Ocean itself. And that does feel a bit odd about this watch. Every time I look at it, I get a Grand Seiko-esque case finishing type of feel from it. The second thing is the bezel to dial ratio seems a bit off. It almost seems that the bezel on this watch is too wide compared to that of the dial. So it actually seems to take more space on the watch face than typically intended, and multiple people have pointed this out in their videos and opinions. So I'm not the first one to feel this. It's not that I'm in some sort of a unique bubble and I'm the only one who feels this way. So that is something interesting. And when I tried on this watch on my wrist and look at the down the wrist shot, this watch does seem to still wear quite a bit thick. And one might say, yes, this is a much deeper dive watch, and it is in fact going to be thick, especially if you're not having a integrated helium escape valve. Now, all those are true, but when you're starting to cross shop this watch with the likes of the Pelagos or the Sea Dweller, a small bit of thickness addition goes a long way, and that could land up being a compromising factor that people need to consider when they're actually shopping for this watch. So those are some of my first few impressions about the Planet Ocean. This is somewhat of a radical redesign of the watch, and that always gets me a little concerned because it almost states that, hey, the previous iteration was not as successful, so we're redoing the drawing book on this particular version of the watch. Now, the Seamaster today, you can say, is somewhat of an iconic design, but that iconic design only dates back to the 1990s when it first got introduced on Pierce Brosnan's wrist. If you really compare like the Omega Seamaster or the Planet Ocean to a watch like the Submariner or the Sea Dweller, their legacy goes back 70 years, and there's somewhat of a design continuity throughout every iteration that they have done, which the Planet Ocean keeps in a lukewarm sense. They are carrying the similar dial design, they are carrying the similar hands on this particular watch, but I think the similarity ends there, and from there it's really a ground up new design for the case and the bracelet and everything. So we'll see how it does. I'm pretty sure it's going to be quite popular with folks, but those were my first impressions about this watch. I still do feel it's a bit too thick for my convenience on my wrist, but it does look very beautiful overall. I am quite excited to see the direction in which they are going. The next watch we're going to talk about is the Omega Speedmaster. Now, unlike the Planet Ocean or maybe even the Seamaster, the Speedmaster has remained true to its design since its inception. So this is definitely more of a iconic watch status where they want to make incremental changes that do not alienate the current customer or feels like it's a radical departure from what is considered already an iconic watch. And they have done exactly that with this particular iteration. This is the reverse Panda. When I was there at the store, I couldn't try on the steel version, so they let me try on the gold version with the reverse Panda dial, but it was all wrapped in plastic, so if the photographs are not flattering, I apologize for that. There are a few things about this watch. So I think the dial layout looks fantastic. It's very beautiful. It's very catchy. Now, when I was there and when the salesperson was talking about the watch, they said, oh, this is a much more complex construction. You have this two plates that come together to make this dial, and it's a more complex manufacturing process. But if I were to zoom out and think about the older iterations of the watch with this current iteration, the previous versions had this recessed dish-shaped dial where it was one continuous piece that recessed down into the center plate, and I felt that was a bit more of a sophisticated design of the sub-registers compared to this particular iteration where it's essentially just a through hole that is drilled and they have a plate on the bottom for the sub-register dial. Now, yes, maybe it has the illusion of creating more depth, but it is no more complex to make. I would in fact argue that this is a simpler dial to make than the previous ones, taking out the lacquer part that they're advertising. So is this really that much more complex to make than the previous watch? I'm not totally getting the price increase that comes along with this particular watch. For that reason, it, if in fact, should probably be priced the same or maybe a little lower. But the fact that they are actually giving a price bump, I don't know if it's just for the color combination of the dial, but that seems a bit superfluous. And I feel like if they had maintained the same price, this watch would be even more well received and worth the price that they're actually asking for. It's not coming necessarily with an upgraded movement or anything of that sort. But I think it is a beautiful looking watch. It looked great on my wrist. The version that I tried on was the yellow gold with the reverse Panda dial, and it's got almost a direct analogy to the Rolex Le Mans that they released recently with the yellow gold version and the reverse Panda. So it's almost a like for like, and I feel like Omega is always, trying to play catch up to Rolex on this front by launching these releases and trying to capitalize on the hype that Rolex has created, because, how many people are actually going to be able to afford a Le Mans Rolex or even get access to one? But this is a lot more accessible, and Omega feels like, okay, we can capitalize on the hype that Rolex has created and essentially sell a lot of these watches, which is totally fine. They are a watch company, they have to be profitable, and they have to capitalize on every opportunity that they get. But all in all, I actually personally preferred the Speedmaster over the Planet Ocean in the two new releases that they came out with. I may think about the Speedmaster. I've been wanting to add a Speedmaster to my collection. There are a lot of different options that I've been considering. I'll probably make a separate video about what are my favorite Speedmasters and which one I am most likely to get. But that's really all I had to share in this video. If you have any thoughts about the new Planet Ocean or the Speedmaster, or have already acquired one, please let me know in the comments below. If you are new to this channel, I would really appreciate if you do like and subscribe to this channel, because I am trying to put out new content and I am trying to grow the channel, and it's just a click for you, but it means a world to the growth of this channel. So I really appreciate this. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.